Hi everyone and welcome back to Economy Street. It's your boy Ola with Nicholas, Latifat and a special guest called Amir.
Hi guys, very nice to meet you guys.
Pleasure. Welcome back guys. It's a Christmas special, even though these guys clearly didn't get the memo because I'm the only one sitting in a Christmas jumper right now.
There was an implication, there was no message.
What? I sent a message that implied
Someone
Christmas.
implies Christmas jumper to me, I'm not wearing one.
Anyway, I'm the only one in the Christmas spirit. These guys are all Grinches.
I just don't do Christmas jumpers. So
I
even
just
if even if you told me I want to be wearing one, I'm being honest.
See what we're working with. But how's it going, guys? How have you guys been?
Been great. How have you been?
Okay, not too bad. Yeah.
Yeah, not
Nick?
too bad.
The same, tired. Always. It's my life at the moment, tired.
Baby's keeping you up at night.
Tired. Yeah, but I'm good in all seriousness.
Fair enough. And Amir is an LSE student studying his masters in management.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, how's that going?
Not too bad. It's my first year as masters. I studied engineering for my undergrad, so I know pretty much nothing about economics or finance, like these guys. So I'll be learning alongside you guys as well.
Nice.
So yeah,
Cool.
Cool.
So yeah, we're gonna kick it over to Amir to be asking questions today. And yeah, fingers crossed we actually know something about this topic. It's been a hard one for us as well. So yeah, bear with us as yeah, we're still learning as well.
Yeah, definitely.
John asked me any tough questions. I'm not ready.
They all coming your way. All right, let's introduce the first topic of the day. We're going to talk about cryptocurrency and Bitcoin, and is it a thing of the past? Now, the first question is, what is Bitcoin and what is cryptocurrency? Is there a difference? Over to Ola.
What me? Cool. Yeah, Bitcoin. Well, let's start with cryptocurrency. Cryptocurrency is just literally a digital currency that acts as a medium exchange, like your regular paper money, and allows people to buy and sell stuff online, essentially. Bitcoin is a form of cryptocurrency, but there are hundreds and literally thousands now of cryptocurrencies out there.
Okay. And how do we actually get involved in Bitcoin or cryptocurrency? How do we buy it? Where do we buy it?
Cool.
So you can actually buy cryptocurrencies from an exchange called Coinbase. I think that's probably one of the most famous ones.
Okay.
And what you do is just sign up, put in your banking details like your credit card or debit card, whatever you want to use, and then they will give you the value, whatever whatever. Basically, just like buying any other currency.
Yeah.
So you can exchange your pounds for for Bitcoin or Ethereum, whatever cryptocurrency you want.
Okay.
But they also provide you with something called a wallet. So you can't really buy cryptocurrencies without having a wallet. And Coinbase is known to be quite well. Actually, I think in the news it's varied. So they're not actually as secure as they can be. So people can actually get into your wallet and steal your cryptocurrencies. But
don't want that.
yeah, Coinbase is a place where you can buy and store your cryptos.
Okay. And are there apps for that, or is it just?
So I think you can get it as a desktop on your Mac or whatever, but you can also have it on your iPhone as well. And I think there's actually some businesses out there that are developing apps that act as a very secure wallet. But these are all new and up and coming.
I think a key thing as well with cryptocurrencies is that you actually can buy part of it. For example, a Bitcoin. You don't have to buy one whole Bitcoin. You can buy part of a Bitcoin because what's the current value of it?
17,000.
Yeah, so no one's got 17,000 to buy what. So you actually can buy part of a Bitcoin.
Oh, okay.
And I think one of the key things why Bitcoin is also not even Bitcoin but cryptocurrency is taken off is the fact that it's decentralized.
Okay. What does that mean?
Yeah, so what I mean by decentralized, it's not governed or monitored by a central bank. So if you've seen some of our other videos where we've discussed central banks are what govern the banking system in an economy. Okay. So for the UK, it's the Bank of England. Yeah. Or with cryptocurrencies, it's not governed by any banking system. So in terms of to produce more cryptocurrencies, it's not at a decision of a person or a group or a board. Yeah. It's done away from being centralized. So I think that's one of the big reasons that we're seeing quite the rise in people purchasing cryptocurrencies. So the fact that it's not people seeing it as getting away from the government because the governments don't have control of cryptocurrencies.
Yeah, but then again, if there is no body to regulate it, does that not mean it's more risky?
It can be. So this is the whole issue about
Yeah.
being able to use cryptocurrency and Bitcoin for what's called money laundering. So if you're involved in illegal activities like drug dealing or some sort of crime, you can wash your money. So if people watch like things like Breaking Bad, you'll see how they're always like building like a car wash or something else to wash the money.
Yeah.
Cryptocurrency cuts all that out because literally you can just buy this and then literally transfer it back to yourself on a different, like if you open up 2 accounts, you can then send it back to yourself and then take the money out, and it's not traceable.
Yeah.
Because that's one of the key selling points about cryptocurrency. It's anonymous. So all you have, even though you've set up an account with your name and your bank details, you're given like a unique sort of account number, and that's what is used to transact. It's account numbers, not names of people.
Yeah, and I think one of the most important things that's actually allowed cryptocurrencies and especially Bitcoin to grow at the rate that it has is something called blockchain. And this is the technology behind it. So a lot of people like to describe it as having an iPhone, but then Bitcoin is an app on the iPhone. So blockchain is basically the iPhone. And what blockchain does is allows this whole peer-to-peer trading to happen. And so what happens is basically this blockchain allows everyone to share this ledger. So for example, if me and you send money to each other, this ledger would be distributed to everybody as in the blockchain community. So it's like so this is basically securing your cryptocurrencies and securing your transactions basically. Because think of it like this: do you remember back in the days when you had to put credit on your phone and you get this really long number, and then until you put this
That's going way back.
Yeah, do you remember?
I'm old enough for that.
Oh, really?
Wow.
I'm showing my age here. But yeah, back in the days, you have this really long number, and it's with and it's with like letters and different numbers and stuff, and you type this into your phone and you get the credit. So it's a bit like how how I would transfer maybe 10 Bitcoins to you. It's like this crypto number gets updated every single time there's a different transaction, and that's basically the block.
Basically, think of it this way: blockchain is the technology. So basically, cryptocurrency. The reason it's called cryptocurrency is because it uses something called cryptography, which is basically a mathematical system for transacting. So the whole reason they use this is to make it difficult for fraud to happen or for people to hack it, because when you send, let's say you want to send 5 Bitcoins to someone, it's not just going to send it like that. It's going to scramble it into a code that needs to be decoded.
And only the receiver can be able to decode that. So that's one of the reasons that even the banking system are looking into blockchain technology. So in terms of when they're doing their large financial transactions, to try and save from fraud or make sure it gets to the right place.
It's a lot safer.
So the actual technology behind cryptocurrency is looking, firms and the banking system are looking to incorporate that into their businesses. So it's quite a big technology that's on the rise.
So basically the whole thing, I mean, the best example I've heard of blockchain being explained is that to think of it as a massive ledger, and then imagine us all being like at a poker table. We're playing poker, but we don't turn up with any chips or with any cash. So what we do is we get a piece of paper out, and each round we write down how much each person has bid, how much each person has won, and then we compare notes to make sure no one's cheating. So that's what blockchain is doing, is basically comparing notes of everybody around the world around the same time. And that the reason people compare notes is because they want to make sure that people are not duplicating transactions and spending the same Bitcoin, and people are not carrying a fraud with it. And blockchain is that process of doing that, and the technology around that is what they're using. So you might think, okay, why would people just want to start decoding transactions and keeping score? Those people are called miners. So every time you participate in this, in terms of writing down the transactions on blockchain and solving the equations and keeping the ledger up to date, after a certain amount of time, new Bitcoins get released, and that's what you're rewarded with. And obviously with Bitcoin now, 15 to 20,000. for
It's
one
like,
coin,
for one
Yeah.
coin, you're
you're
laughing.
smiling. Yeah.
Okay, that's very interesting. So, what can we actually use Bitcoin for right now? Can I go out and just buy stuff?
See, this is where my problem is with it now. Because I just want to say, with Bitcoin, with any cryptocurrency, the idea is that you should be able to use it as if it's a fiat currency. You should be able to buy your, daily needs that you need. So basically, you should be able to go to the shop and buy a pint of milk if you need to with these cryptocurrencies. But at the moment, you can't really do that. It's very limited, and people are not using it as a currency. They're actually using it, buying it as an investment and holding it.
Okay.
So at the moment, there is places you can spend Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies at, but it's not on a mass scale. It's very limited. And for me, I just feel like until the day, maybe Amazon or eBay has an announcement saying, okay, you can now spend Bitcoin or other cryptocurrencies on this platform, I don't think, I just don't think cryptocurrencies are there yet. So yeah, you can spend them in places, but it's just not everywhere. It's very limited.
I think that's the key thing you're saying in terms of having it as a medium of exchange. I think until it's accepted, then it won't be accepted by the masses. I said it's more used as a investment tool rather than spending on your everyday items. But the key thing is saying it's all like trust. It's like medium of exchange, fiat money, all of it in essence is trust. Because if you look at the £10 or £5 notes, all it just says is I promise to pay the bearer the sum of £5 or £10. It's only really trust. So on one side, I get what you're saying, but that's why I think in terms of, because it's decentralized, it's not government owned, I think that's another reason why we're seeing it come to the prominence, because people, as in come in these kind of times, we're seeing people are kind of rebelling against governments. So maybe cryptocurrency is another form of rebellion against governments for the future and moving money in a different direction. Because money is just in the old days it was cows and pigs, for example,
plants, crops.
So it was anything that you used, as long as I'm accepting it, or whoever you're having that transaction with is accepting it, then you're okay.
I definitely think that Bitcoins and cryptocurrencies are here to stay, 100%. I think in the next 10 years, we are all going to be using some form of cryptocurrency, but I just think the technology is not there yet. And I think there needs to be a lot of discussions, a lot of firms around the table and governments around the table figuring. No, it's not. Do you know what? I love what cryptocurrency stand for. I love it, but at the same time, I just know that the government are not going to let it slide like that, because they're going to want their fair share. They want to be able to collect their taxes. They
want a piece of the pie.
They want a piece of the pie.
The US government is already looking into it in terms of trying to.
Yeah, so I definitely think it's going to be a round the table discussion. I don't think it's going to be anything that they're going to try and regulate, because they can't, because it's technology. It's technology, whatever, I can't say the word. It's based on technology, and that grows so fast and it's always changing, and you can't regulate everything. But until we get to that stage where these conversations are had, I just don't think the price of it right now really reflects its true value.
I mean, just to touch on a couple of things that you guys have said, I understand the whole point that it's supposed to be fiat money, which fiat money just basically means it's a currency that you use to buy every day. And I know
it's
the
like
problem,
pounds, euros,
pounds,
that's a fiat
euros,
currency,
yen, dollars.
Yeah.
And I know I think that currently out of all the Bitcoins in the world, about 40% is controlled by less than 1,000 people. So it is being used as a store of value, which is why the value keeps rising, because supply and demand. If more people are trying to buy something and it's limited, the price is going to be forced up.
Yeah.
But I like to think of Bitcoin and cryptocurrency almost like when social media first started. We had the MySpace, we had the Bebo, we had the Hi-Fi. They all died out, and then Facebook came out of somewhere.
There was one winner in the end.
There was one winner.
Yeah.
So right now we have hundreds and even thousands of cryptocurrencies, especially because of all these ICO, they keep doing. So ICO is initial coin offering when they start a new coin, crypto. I think eventually we'll have one winner, because ultimately we have to embrace technology. Technology is driving everything that we do now. That's how economies are growing. And so eventually it makes sense for money to be digitized as well, because most of us do mobile banking now. So why are we not going to embrace something that could potentially make life a little bit easier transaction wise? And I think one of the selling points about cryptocurrency, even though, you know, government is not in touch with it, like controlled or regulates it, is the technology behind some of these cryptocurrencies. So I've heard, for example, I think it's IOTA, like eventually it might even allow us to share our data plans. So I could sell you my data for crypto and keep that. And again, it just allows us to almost become a, not utopia, but, you know, like a society where there's a lot more collective pulling of
bargaining, collective agreement. Saying it's a way of, I see what you're saying in terms of making, you can make transactions, but without, you're cutting out the middleman essentially, and then you're making transactions between one another.
Yeah, and I think just going back to the technology, especially with Bitcoin, I think as we established earlier, it's got a fixed money supply, and there will only ever be 21 million units of Bitcoin available. So what's going to happen after this 21 million units are then mined? And then even with mining as well, the technology that they're using, the electricity, should I say, that they're using to mine these Bitcoins is unsustainable.
Yeah, it becomes more expensive
to mine the Bitcoins. Anyway, I'm not a naysayer or anything. I'm just saying that there's still a lot of thinking and a lot of development that needs to be done to see these, well, especially Bitcoin, because there are other cryptos that are, you know, fixing these problems. But yeah, I just don't think that the value at the moment reflects it, the price reflects its true value, and there's still questions that need to be answered. But in the future, and with all these other new developments from other currencies,
So let me chuck out a question then. So do you think it's investable or not?
Right now, I wouldn't advise anyone to buy like Bitcoin. I wouldn't, because it's a bull market, and people
What does that mean?
So bull market basically means that the investors are going to benefit on the increase in prices. So, for example, especially now it's on the news, right? You're getting the masses to buy into these cryptocurrencies, especially Bitcoin, but the true winners are the people who invested in it a long time ago.
From the start.
Yeah. So let's see it as a seesaw. There's two sides, right? So if you want to, it's not over. If you want to invest in Bitcoin or other cryptocurrencies, there is going to be a chance for you to do that. It's just not right now. It's people that have already benefited, who've already invested that are benefiting the most.
See, I would argue with that and say I would invest. I just wouldn't invest like a king's ransom.
Yeah.
And I would also like invest in different cryptocurrencies.
Yeah.
See, that's what I was going to make. My point was going to be, I think everyone's locked onto Bitcoin, but there are other forms of cryptocurrencies out there. So I think what you say in terms of investing in Bitcoin, I'm kind of with you. I think the boat may have been
sailed already.
It's the people that were done it years ago. But because there are other types of Bitcoin's cryptocurrencies out there, it's about maybe, as I say, not going king's ransom, but putting little bits, so into the other cryptocurrencies that are out there. So
it's about making the smart, being a smart investor. So, but a lot of people, we know that a lot of people are not they're gonna see it as a get rich quick scheme.
Especially now being on the news as well.
And especially because just in October it was valued at 4.5k, and now it's gone up to 13k. I think it's even past that. So you can, just think about it. If I have 13k sitting in my account, someone will be very tempted to say, oh, let me go and buy a Bitcoin, because that's the price, that's my whole life savings. but it'll be very risky to do that.
Yeah,
But if
it's
you've
not
got
wise to do that.
yeah,
Okay.
but if you've got 100k sitting in your account, 13k
Doesn't seem too bad.
Or just
it's
buy a
not.
fraction of a Bitcoin.
Yeah.
So this is what I say, like, because the thing as well, to get other cryptocurrencies, you have to basically use Bitcoin. So there's no way into it except maybe through a few like platforms, apps that allow you to buy like Ethereum and Litecoin. But then it's from that you then exchange it into other cryptocurrencies like IOTA, Ripple, Stellar.
Yeah. What's the difference between all these different Bitcoins?
They all have
cryptocurrencies?
different. They all have different unique selling point.
Yeah.
So, for example, I think Litecoin is like Bitcoin 2.0. It's mined faster, so these equations are solved. So the transactions happen quicker, and therefore it's cheaper because it's not using as much processing power for computers.
Okay.
Sorry to get techie on you guys.
Is that limited like Bitcoin? Because Bitcoin it can only be 21 million.
Yeah, Litecoin, I'm not so sure.
I don't think
I've
no, it's Ethereum that hasn't got a fixed supply. I'm not sure
I know
about that.
IOTA as well doesn't have a
supply.
fixed supply, so IOTA is another one, but IOTA is the one I was talking about, being able to use the technology to share data plans and other stuff.
Okay.
So that's its unique proposition, value proposition.
Yeah.
So they're all different. I can't sit here and say I'm an expert in all of them. I have friends that they've literally studied this market well, and they will recommend, okay, buy this one, buy that one. For me, it's about spreading the risk. I'm not going to invest all my money into cryptocurrencies. I'm going to do different stuff like stock market, bonds, but I will put some money into crypto because I still see upside. Upside means I expect the price to keep going up.
Okay.
And so for me, £50, £100 is not going to kill me.
Put it in,
and I'm not going to cry if things go wrong.
Okay.
I might cry a little bit.
Yeah, I just definitely think that this is the beginning of cryptocurrencies. I think everybody should invest in the crypto. And if you can, definitely do it, but just don't go crazy and put your whole life savings into it. Yeah. And as you said with, like, what's the difference between the cryptocurrencies? For example, Ethereum is more on smart contracts. So it's basically... like if you're, I'm not sure if I'm actually right with, but my understanding is if you are a project management based company and you need, I don't know, certain amount of goods delivered on this day and you're paying X amount, then Ethereum accommodates that transaction. Okay. And then Litecoin is basically the silver to Bitcoin, where Bitcoin is gold and then Litecoin is silver. And then Ripple I find very interesting because that actually it's basically to reduce transaction costs between major banks. So it's basically cryptocurrencies are trying to come away from the banks, but products like Ripple are actually working with the banks. Okay. So a lot of people are actually very interested in getting into Ripple because it actually they've actually got some sort of regulation and it's more formal because they're working with like Bank of America, X, Y, and Z.
Was it started by just like a normal person or like by someone within banking?
I'm not sure about that. I don't know.
A lot of these things, because it's driven by computer science, computer engineering, they're developed by techie people. Okay. So I think cryptography, which is what cryptocurrency runs on, was quite complicated, and Bitcoin won the race. They were the first ones to crack the code, to be able to use and harness that technology to do this.
But it's all quite anonymous, isn't it? Because even the true creator of Bitcoin is unknown. They have that one person who they thought it was, and they said it's not. It's people that are just techie, but they're still quite anonymous in terms of wanting to be known.
Some people do want to be known. I know, like, even recently, because of how quickly the prices of some of these prices of cryptocurrencies have been going up, some of like the creators have come up and say it is a bubble. Even I'm like concerned.
Really? Okay. Yeah. And so, like, is there a benefit to being one of those people like who have either created a cryptocurrency, and like, do you get rich by being like the guy who came up with Bitcoin or Litecoin or Ripple?
If you keep some from yourself, I guess so.
That's the way I see it. I think in terms of creating it, whatever you get. But if you got a little,
so apparently
50 of them to the side.
Satoshi Nakamoto.
That's his alias.
That's his alias. I'm saying.
Yeah,
that's the person that say
who
create
invented
Bitcoin.
Bitcoin owns 5% of the
5%
total
Bitcoin.
supply of Bitcoin.
But that's
so
an alias.
Okay.
So that's
Right.
his real
Yeah.
name.
You
No
don't
one
know who
really
he actually
knows
is.
who. Yeah. There's speculation that he's an Australian guy, but
I don't know.
can't
no
confirm.
one knows.
Okay.
Because yeah, that's the world of technology now that you're getting
it's very
into.
anonymous. Everything.
Yeah,
Okay.
which is why it can be used for crime.
Yeah.
But I was just like, that may not have been what it was created for. But obviously, anything in life
Yeah,
you can
definitely.
always find.
Yeah, bad things to use it for.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. And you guys spoke about before, there's a limit to Bitcoin, which is 21 million. And I think it was Ethereum you said that has no limit. What impact does having a limit have on the supply of these cryptocurrencies?
It's just basic economic supply and demand.
Yeah.
If there's a limited amount of supply, think of it even in practical terms of housing. There's a lack of supply of housing. Prices of houses, especially in the southeast and London, are astronomical. So it's the that could be same with, you could say with Bitcoin, because there's a lack of supply, the demand. When you get lack of supply, you get more demand. Prices generally shoot up.
Okay.
So
Think about your GCSE or A-level history when they used to talk about rations during the war, because you ran like there was low supply of milk, sugar, basics, bread. So the prices were going up because if you want something and it's not readily available, you'll be willing to pay more. The price has to adjust to separate the wheat from the chaff. Like people who want more versus people who don't, and usually the price goes up. So that's what's happening with Bitcoin, because people are seeing it as now. People are treating it as an investment rather than a regular form of currency.
Yeah.
That is why the value keeps rising.
Okay. And is that dangerous? That lots of people are just pretty much buying it to just hoard up.
Yeah, because you're not really allowing it to do what it's made to do. You're not really using it as a currency. Well, as you all probably know already, you can trade currency. That is something that people do. But people who are buying Bitcoin are literally buying and holding. So
get rich. They're using it as
a get rich scheme kind of. If you're not allowing it's a product at the end of the day. If you're not allowing the product to do what it's intended to do, then the price is not reflecting the true value. I see it as.
So that's why you're hearing the term bubble. Is it going to collapse? So literally imagine, I think I said this to you when we did a podcast together, that remember those little toys when you were younger that you used to make bubbles, and then you'll blow through it, straw thing, and it keeps getting bigger, but then it pops. That's literally what a bubble is that it will keep expanding, the price will keep rising, but then there will come a point where the price might collapse. Like, you know how we had the .com bubble during when internet was just taking off and things started going up in, like, all these tech companies went up in value, but then they went bust quickly, and it crashed that industry or that market. That is what people are fearful of, that is going to happen with cryptocurrency. But even when it happened with the tech bubble, eventually winners emerged, and you know they became established.
Amazon,
Google. Then they had a proper like value proposition. And you know they had a reason for existence, like in terms of, are they providing a service, are they doing a product which made money. So
because was it in the .com bubble that people were just doing it because it was a website, so they wasn't investing in, you know, as you said, the value of it. So if it was Amazon.com, it wouldn't be because it's Amazon, it will just be because it's a name .com. So that's why people were is that what it was?
I think that was part of it. Cool.
Okay.
Shall we? Any more questions for us?
Yeah. Okay.
Let's take a break.
We're taking a break.
We'll take a break, and then we'll come back.
You look so stressed, Ola.
Do I look stressed?
Yes, you're like
cryptocurrency is so stressful. That's why
no,
technology is stressful.
No, do you know what? I think it's a special time because nobody knows. You know.
Yeah, true. You do
kinda
look stressed, because I was just about to ask a question.
Really?
I saw your face. You looked at Nick. I
No
was
one
like,
knows.
should I ask the question?
No,
sorry.
No.
Yeah.
He was sending me signals at the time. Camera's gonna come.
Yeah, okay. One last question on cryptocurrencies.
Do we have the camera time for it?
Very
We're getting the camera guy involved as well.
Very quickly.
Go for it.
So I've heard about quantum computing. I've heard quantum computing is a possible way.
Next face.
Is this funny?
Where are we going with this? This is my cue to
out.
bounce.
Yeah.
So
I don't know nothing.
someone
Sorry.
better have an answer for this. Okay, so I've heard quantum computing could kill off cryptocurrencies
How?
as we know it. That's
it's
what I've
economic
heard.
street, not quantum computing. It's economic street.
Let's learn about it.
No, you're getting into the realms of like deep, like techie stuff and
Anything.
computer science and
Someone on the wrong
engineering. No, we can
can
talk
use
about. I
the
know a little bit about it.
I know it's to do with how quick computers can process information.
Yeah.
So I think the record is the Chinese supercomputers got the record at the moment. I think. So in terms of quantum computing, it's something that can be used in the financial system in the future. How it can be, because obviously it can solve information as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
But that's, as Ola was saying, that's something that's quite still techie at the moment,
Okay.
rather than moving
So
into
that's
the
too
realms.
far fetched into the future.
It's not far fetched.
It's just
Or
we
it's
don't
not.
know.
The technology is not
Yeah.
there yet. So what quantum computing is trying to do is, like we said, with cryptocurrency, when you send a Bitcoin or other cryptocurrency, you're sending almost like an equation.
Yeah.
So that transaction is put into an equation based on sometimes prime numbers. Like, okay, what's like the 124th prime number? So a computer needs to solve that, and there's different like various. Basically, it has to go through like trial and error to find the right combination to then send it. So what quantum computing is trying to do is speed up that process by solving equations in, I think, like 4 directions, multi-directional.
But I think as well, the key thing, the major thing actually, is that it's only used by governments at the moment. So you're still way from it being commercialized. It's still stuff saying, because you still have battles, especially between the US and China, of which computer can solve equations in
Who's
the
gonna
quickest
get
time.
there
So
first?
it's still quite a government-led process or initiative, rather than it coming into the commercial sense.
But it will probably not replace cryptocurrency in that sense. It will probably just make it a bit that more secure, because now you're solving more difficult equations, but fast. So it makes it less hackable. Because right now there have been incidences where Bitcoin has been stolen or cryptocurrency has been stolen, or the platforms hacked and stuff like that. So by having quantum computing, you can go up to like 256 bit, I think. This is computing language. Let's not go down that route. But yeah, basically it makes you solve more complicated equations but faster.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. So that wraps up our cryptocurrency segment of the show. We're just gonna move on to a little more fun section of the show.
Are we taking our break?
Break or
you're hungry, aren't you? I'm hungry.
I
as
want
well.
another biscuit.
But yeah, merch store coming soon. Economic Street. Get the mugs. Torties, hoodies, hats,
Everything.
everything. Cool. We'll take a break there and we'll be right back.